So I hope none of you are hoping to learn anything from the next 5 minutes, because I'm probably not going to share much that's going to allow you to learn too much, but we're going to have a great time. So this is Eric. Unlike him hitting below the belt, I'm not going to do that. I'm only going to stick to facts. Eric is a lovely friend. I'm a little disappointed that he went as low as he did, but that's fine. He loves his wine, loves his friends. We've had some amazing times together, as you heard. But sorry, Eric, as Chris Shaffrey thought about you as well, you're just simply underwhelming. So this is Eric's new job here. There he is, hanging out in the penthouse of his new job as the chief of spine at UT Houston. Congratulations on that job. But I was actually trying to figure out, like, why, and you're welcome, buddy. Like, why would you move? Like, I mean, you had it made at Davis. Like, the place was yours. People loved you. The staff loved you. Your fellows loved you. You had a residency program. Like, your academic, like, everything is on the rise. Like, everything looks really good for you, Eric. And then I started digging a little bit deeper, and I realized, like, Eric is on a lot of papers and talks that talk about complications. I was like, okay, well, that makes sense. His revision rate's 40% on these open cases, and as long as, we just heard, as long as you only revise them once, you're okay, but if you revise them twice, it's bad. Oh, hey, can you raise your hand if you're a neurosurgeon in the room? Okay, did anyone else pick up when he said, reorient the nerves? Like, dude, you're reorienting nerves? That's lovely. I'm not sure that any neurosurgeon ever even knows what you're talking about there, buddy. So anyways, this complication thing is very interesting because, like, I reach out to his patient, like, hey, show me your last case at UC Davis. And they text me, and say, oh, that's kind of cool. So then they send me the intraoperative images, and I was like, wow, he not quite as good as I thought he would be in the operating room. You know, and I know he, like, gives his, like, residents and fellows some liberties with this, but I was really blown away by your ability to put these screws in, Eric, and no wonder you need at least one revision before you can make it cost effective. But what I really realized is that you ran out of people to maim in Sacramento. You had to go to a much bigger market. So here comes Eric Kleinberg. So, you know, this is what I do for these deformities, like something tiny, small, it's percutaneous, it's quick in and out. Patients go back to, like, playing golf, things like that. But I realized it doesn't pay quite as much, Eric. So I realized also that the Houston market is a little bit better, well, is a bit better off. So it kind of makes sense now that you're on your way to Houston. So also, you guys have all seen this, right? Adopters, like, you know, I hate to say it, Eric, but you're a little bit on the wrong side of the bell curve here, buddy. You're part of the laggard group, and you're still doing old school surgery for a problem that we all know has much simpler solutions. So, just as an example, 17-year-old male, like, he's got some this adult degen deformity, people that we see all the time in our offices. Doesn't really have much weakness, has pain, and, you know, you work him up and you realize that, like, oh my gosh, like, every level has something wrong with it. And of course, Eric would say, I'm gonna put inner bodies everywhere and fix them from top to bottom, and here's axial MRIs just kind of showing what's going on. But even on the CT scan, you see error in all the discs. So of course, you need every single level fused. But as Eric predicted, some of us are just ahead of the curve, buddy. Like, we can use other things besides just CTs and MRIs. We can actually talk to patients and kind of figure out where their pain's coming from, do some innovative scans, and we realize, there's actually a way around this. So really, you know, what are the indications for surgery, and how relevant is the deformity and all these parameters that he's measuring and all this other stuff like UIV, LIV, what do those words even mean? You know, and, like, does the patient really need a big surgery, or can you get away with something smaller? And so several people have published on this, both in the neck and the back, and this is actually one of your residents, Eric, that published this, and looked at SPECT CT in a group of about 100 patients, and we did it at our facility here, tertiary care facility, consecutive patients that we collected all their demographics on, and then looked at patients that were having multiple spondylotic changes at 3+ levels, and most of these patients, several of them also with deformities, and he said even split demographically, male or female. Just showing that SPECT revealed more localized pathology in about 90% of these patients. So we can hone in on where the problem actually is. 60% actually had a significant change in their procedural intervention, and 97% actually had localized area of uptake that we were able to direct their interventional management on. So this patient here ended up getting a small surgery and doing very well. So I know what Eric would say, like, let's plan a search. So I sent him this case ahead of time, and I was like, hey, Eric, will you search and map this for me? And, like, this is what his residents showed me about how he, like, plans his surgeries. So here he is, and he, like, he's like, I'm going to build in 35 degrees of lumbar lordosis between L4 and S1. But, sometimes, Eric, when you looked at this, you're like, this is just not enough. And sometimes, Eric, I just have to say, you need more. So this is Eric planning just to get a little bit more out of this one. So anyways, I'm not sure I can believe all he's saying. So here's another case, 66-year-old female, 80-20 back and leg pain, has a limited walking tolerance, again, a deformity with lateral subluxation, et cetera, et cetera. And these patients, we work them up. You obviously get DEXA scans. You see multiple levels of degeneration. How do you localize this? And as you would suspect, I get a SPECT. We find a single level that's a problem, and then treat them with a focal solution. And patients can do actually extraordinarily well with this limited approach. But you send them to Eric, and they go freaking crazy with pedicle screws, shooting them left and right, and then they end up with only one revision. Great. That's so awesome. That's good for the RVUs. So anyways, Eric, this is just a little slide I'd like to show at the end of a debate. And with this, I'd like to welcome you to SMIS in Vegas. Thank you very much.
Oh, that was good. Go back up there, Greg. Go back up there. Go back. Very funny.